there in the next ibadah, there's a nice, interesting masla. And the masla is about the person diving in. A person, maybe there was like a pond of water or whatever, right? Small. It's not Maya Khalil, not Maya Kathir, because remember, Maya Khalil doesn't just get, Maya Kathir doesn't just get contaminated, right? Until the color, taste, or smell changes, right? So there's Maya Khalil and like a little, like a well or something, right? And then uh, he didn't have access to the bucket, so he dived in purely to get the bucket out so he can have a bath, right? So what is the outcome of this? Now, from this scenario, this it seems like a bit of a strange scenario, funny scenario, but it is through this scenario you can understand the different point of or the different usul of the different ai. Through this scenario, you can understand the different, uh, you can say, positions of the different ai. The scenario brings forward it explains the different scenario. It brings forward the the what you call it, the masla in a beautiful way. So read it, see there. See, wal junubu, a person that was in need of a faraz ghusl, right? Wal junubu, إذا انغمس في البئر, he dived into the well or the whatever, the ma'i qalil, لطلب الدلو, to get the bucket. So his intention was not to bath. His intention was not to remove the janaba, it was to get a bath. Right, so what? So he jumped in, his whole body got wet, and maybe even he gargled his mouth after that, and he cleansed his nose after it, because it's also necessary, right? فإن أبي يوسف, according to Imam Yusuf, الرجل بحاله, the person is in the same condition. What do they mean is in the same condition? That he is still in halati janabat, right? Why? لعدم الصب. Because Hazrat Imam Yusuf says, look here, in order for your hadas to be removed, you must pour the water. Sabba yasubu means to pour, right? You must pour the water here. You never pour the water. He dived in the water, right? You understood it? The Adam is sabbi, because there was no sub. There was no pouring of the water. Just 1 second. So in other words, like you must pour the water off and it must flow. So yeah, he did not pour the water and the water did not flow. You understood that? You got it. لعدم الصبت وهو شرط عنده لإسقاط الفرض. So according to Imam Yusuf, you must pour the water off. You can't go into the water. The water must be poured off the body. Like this is like opposite basically. You are pouring yourself onto the water. You understand what I'm saying? Just to make it easy to understand, I'm saying that what he's saying is if you want to make wudu or if you want to make ghusl, you pour the water and the water must flow off your body. What? You must pour your water and the water must flow off. Not that you. Yes, yes, we're coming to that now. But for the moment, say the water must, the water must flow off you, right? Now, the only thing I'm not sure now is his condition for ghusl and his condition for wudu. We need to check this out. Maybe we must check a bit more. You know what I'm saying? Is this only his condition in ghusl or is it only in wudu? But nevertheless, this much we know for sure that according to Imam Yusuf, you must pour the water. Yeah, so that's why you ask the question there now. If a person dive into the water, is his wudu done according to Imam Yusuf? As I said, I'm not sure if this is only his condition for ghusl or only for wudu. But nevertheless, وهو شرط عنده لإسقاط الفرض, it is a condition for him to drop off the farz, right? So because his ghusl is not done, so that means he's still in a halat janabat, and because the water has not been used to remove a hadath, and I told you before, does refer to the instance where there was no najasat on his body. Obviously, there was najasat in his body. if there was, then that would have contaminated the Maya Qalil. Are you with me? They had no najas in the body. So, وَالْمَاءُ بِحَالِهِ لِعَدَمِ الْحَمْرَيْنِ. The water is still the same. It is pure because none of the two things has been found. Now, if remember, if you go back there, you say, according to Imam Yusuf, he says, وَمَا أُزِيلَ بِحَدْ أَوْ اسْتُعْمِلَ فِي الْبَدْءِ عَلَى وَجْهِ الْقُرْبَةِ. In order for it to become a ma'am musta'mal, either you use it to remove hadath, or either you intended sawab with it. Now here, none of the two is found. No hadath was removed because there was no sab, right? And neither is qurbat intended because he dived in to get the bucket. So the water is not being used water at all. You understood that? So wal ma'u bihali adam al amr. Let's refer to the amrain, right? Is that quite clear till there? Right. Then وَإِنَّ مُحَمَّدٍ رحمه الله كِلَاهُمَا طَاهِرَانِ. According to Muhammad, again I repeat, here we're speaking about where there's no najasat on the man's body, right? And he dived in. He said, وَإِنَّهُمَا كِلَاهُمَا طَاهِرٌ. Both the water and the man are pure. Notice, the man obtained what? He obtained purity. But the water is so clean. Why? الرَّجُلُ لِعَدَمِ اشْتِرَاطِ الصَّبِّ. The man will be parked from his najasat. Why? Because according to Muhammad, it's not a condition that you pour the water over your body. So long as you just wet your body, so long as you just, and yet the person wet his body, and obviously we're taking it, because I was saying that he also, the water went into his mouth and into his nose, right? So, that's why he become pure. He is relieved of his janabat, right? And then, وَالْمَاءُ لِأَدَمِ نِيَةِ الْقُرْبَةِ. The water is also pure. Why? Because go back, you just see there. Look at Imam Muhammad's opinions here. Like هذا إن أبي يوسف وقيل قال أبي حنيفة إذا قال محيا وقال محمد لا يصير مستعمل إلا بإقامة القربة. There, Imam Muhammad said that the water will not be considered to be used water until you never have intention of sawab. And this person had no intention of sawab. His intention was just to harvest the bucket, to get the bucket. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why the water does become mustamal. But he will become clean. Well, Are we live again? Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sorry for that break there. Can you hear us? Are we live again? Everybody here? Are we on? Okay. I don't have my phone, so I can't see. Right. And so we were saying, وَإِنَّ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ كِلَاهُمَا نَجِسَانِ. So according to Abu Hanifa, both of them will be najis. Why? الماء لإسقاط الفرض عن البعض بأول الملاقات. What Imam Abu Hanifa says here, because remember we're dealing now with Maya Qalil, we're not dealing with Maya Kathir, right? When a person jumps into the water, right? When he jumps into the water, first his body will touch, right? First his body will touch. So the first part of the body that touches, that renders the water already Maya Musta'mal. That renders the water Maya Musta'mal. So by the time the second part of the body comes in, the water is already Maya Musta'mal. You understand what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. Al-ma'u li-isqatil fardi. The water is najis. Why is the water najis? It is because li-isqatil fardi. Because of the dropping of the fards of washing, bi-awal mulaqati, right? والرجل, and why the man is so why the man himself was not rid of his hadath. والرجل بقال حدثي بقية علي. Which when he like this is similar, like to understand this, you take your hand, right? You got my qalil and it's got najis on. You put your hand in, what happens? Maybe the najasat is removed from that hand, maybe was just dissolved into the water, but the whole thing becomes najis. You understand what I'm saying? The same thing when you dive in, maybe that first part of water touch your body, it removed the hadass from that part. But all the water became my musta'mal because it's my qalil, it's not my kafir. Remember, we're dealing with my qalil. And so now the rest of the water is my musta'mal, so it hasn't have the ability to remove the hadass from the rest of the body. Are you with me? You understand what I'm saying? This is saying, وَالرَّجُلِ لِبِقَى الْحَدَث فِي بَاقِي الْأَعْضَاءِ وَقِيلَ إِنَّهُ نَجَاسَةُ الرَّجُلِ بِنَجَاسَةِ الْمَاءِ الْمُسْتَعْمَلِ. And some ulama say that there's a weak opinion that the reason why the body is still najis is because look here, this water is now my musta'mal. Now remember, if you go back, remember we said that according to the other opinion of Imam Hanifa, my musta'mal is actually najis. It is ghair tahir. It actually renders you najis. Remember that we said if you make wudu, then the water that comes off from there is najis. Remember? So you are jumping into my musta'mal. So because you're jumping into my musta'mal, the whole body becomes najis. You understood that? So وقيل إنه نجاسة الرجل بنجاسة ماء المستعمل. Right. وعنه أن الرجل طاهر. Then, according to another opinion also, that this person comes out of that water completely clean, in the sense that his hadass is removed. Why? لأن الماء لا يعطى حكم الاستعمال قبل الانفصال وهو أوفق الروايات. And you see what he's saying. Remember, go back again now to the Maya Musta'mal. Remember, we told you only when the water separates from the body, then it becomes Maya Musta'mal. So when he dived into the water, his body never separates from the water. So the more only yes, when he came out of the water, now we'll say the whole water became Musta'mal. So as he's washing his whole body, or his whole body is not washing, but he's getting wet in his body, he's putting the water in his mouth, he's putting the water in his nose. It's not at Maya Musta'mal because it hasn't been separated from his body as yet. So he's not using Maya Musta'mal. That means um, that means his ghusl is done. So diving into Maya Qalil, yes, when he comes out of the water, now we'll say it is Maya Musta'mal. Are you with me? And they saying وَأَوْفَقُ الرِّوَايَاتِ, and this is the most you can say appropriate of the narrations. Now I remember also this was discussed one day on the Mufti's chest also. They say, it is sunnah to make, khilal of your toes. After you make wudu, you take your smallest left finger and you pass it from the right to the left. So there also something called the Sabi Barat. If a person take his feet and he put it in water and he just shakes it in the water. So the water goes in between his toes also, right? So that shows you, and you also get the reward of making hilal of the toes. You get reward of making hilal of the toes. So that shows you that. That shows you. It proves this point. What I'm trying to say here is that the water doesn't become a musta'mal uh, by just entering it. Only becomes musta'mal once you remove it from there. لأن الماء لا يطال حكم الاستعمال قبل الانكسار وأوفق الروايات, and this is so that shows how you just so when you get the word like أوفق, I told you that you were doing iftar and mufti course, etc., that what is the fatwa on, and here the fatwa is on the call of Imam Hanifa that if he dies into that Maya Khalil, so even like, what you say now, I'm just thinking like sometimes you have a bath, a person how we have baths, right? And if a person has got no najasat on his body and he decides to take um, just to lay in the bath, whatever, then according to this, what will happen? If the water reached every part of his body and uh, he made what your gargle, his mother and his shak, that means his ghusl will be done. His ghusl will be done. So sub for the water to flow over is not a condition. So see, I told you sometimes the mustard seem like irrelevant. If you say we're gonna dive into the well, but here we found a contemporary student for it. We found it. The person that is having a bath and he got no adjustment in his body. So if you understood this masala, you'll understand also that according to Imam Hanifa, if a person jumped, he washed all the adjustment of his body, he made istinja, and then he jumped into a bath of clean water, his ghusl will be done. Right. Okay, I see the next thing is our new subject. We'll do that tomorrow, inshallah. We'll start with that tomorrow. So I hope that's clear. Just read over it again tonight, inshallah. Let's see if it's not clear, then we'll tell me tomorrow, inshallah. Subhanallah.